So when we go to the best line of debate, I think Hillary Clinton had some good lines against Donald Trump. They all had a lot of lines against Donald Trump. Right off the top, Martin O'Malley called him a fascist. And then Hillary Clinton talked about how he stands for bigotry and bluster, which was a nice turn of phrase. And then she had this line.
You know, I was a senator from New York after 9/11, and we spent countless hours trying to figure out how to protect the city and the state from perhaps additional attacks. One of the best things that was done, and George W. Bush did this, and I give him credit, was to reach out to Muslim Americans and say, we're in this together. You are not our adversary. You are our partner. And we also need to make sure that the really discriminatory messages that Trump is sending around the world don't fall on receptive ears. He is becoming ISIS's best recruiter. They are going to people showing videos of Donald Trump insulting Islam and Muslims in order to recruit more radical jihadists.
So ISIS's best recruiter. That's pretty tough against Donald Trump. Obviously, that plays well with the Democratic base, but it's a great line.
Yep.
Now, that's option number one. Now I want to give you option number two. Bernie Sanders talking about corporate America. Normally in these debates, even in the Democratic debates, when you ask about corporate America, you have to say, well, I mean, they're job creators and they're going to help us. And, I want to work with them to improve the economy. That's not the direction that Bernie Sanders went. Here's what he said.
How big a role does corporate America play in a healthy economy? And will corporate America love a President Sanders?
No, I think they won't. So Hillary and I have a difference. The CEOs of large multinationals may like Hillary. They ain't going to like me. And Wall Street is going to like me even less. And the reason for that is we've got to deal with the elephant in the room, which is the greed, recklessness, and illegal behavior on Wall Street. When you have 6 financial institutions in this country that issue 2/3 of the credit cards and 1/3 of the mortgages, when 3 out of 4 of them are larger today than when we bailed them out because they are too big to fail. We have got to reestablish Glass-Steagall. We have got to break the large financial institutions up.
Oh, no, it's over. That was it.
It was so good, and it's so real. I mean, look, Hillary's was real as well. I thought that her line was incredible. That was very good, and it's funny. I didn't hear a lot of regressive leftists in this debate, but I love the fact that she drew attention to the fact that this is helping ISIS recruit more jihadists. There's no question about it. But Bernie, he comes off as an American, like an average American, someone that you feel passionately about, someone who feels passionately about what he's talking about. He comes off as real, and I love it, and he's honing in on the most important political issue in our country right now, and that's money in politics, the fact that the banks are able to take over and do whatever they want, the fact that corporations don't have to pay their fair share of taxes. These are issues that impact every single American, and I love that he's so passionate about it.
I think they're both good statements. I think with Hillary, I mean, yeah, Donald Trump definitely exposes the anti-Muslim sentiment in the United States. I don't think he's ISIS's biggest recruiter. I don't think somebody's like, I'm really on the fence whether or not I want to stone people and cut their heads off. That Trump guy, fuck, dude, get me over there.
No.
I mean, I don't think...
No, but the demonizing of moderate Muslims definitely leads to them feeling disenfranchised, feeling like they have no friendship here in the United States.
But then they'll feel really good when he loses the general election because it'll be repudiated. And with Bernie Sanders, I wish people... I know it's the act, I know what it is, but stop calling it Glass-Steagall because it makes people go...
It makes, ironically, it makes their eyes glass over.
It makes your eyes... Say what they do is, they've got your personal money, they're gambling with it, and they weren't allowed to do that before.
Yes.
That's better than saying Glass-Steagall.
Outside of commentators like us that are knee-deep in this, nobody knows, and some of you who watch and who care a lot about these issues, nobody knows what Glass-Steagall is. No one knows it. And that's why I frame it the way
I know what it is, but at the same time, most people don't. So.
Yeah, I'm saying most people don't. So that's why I always frame it the way that West does. And because that's what it is. They're allowed to gamble with your money. That's mental. Why would you allow that? So, okay, now, no, I'm going to go with Bernie here. So look, I actually think that Hillary's line was a good one. I think that Donald Trump alienating people who are supposed to be our allies who are actually on the ground fighting against ISIS is a terrible idea and does help ISIS recruit. So I'm glad she pointed that out. But it's an easier line in a Democratic debate. You know that if you attack Trump, you're going to get applause. It's not overly courageous. Whereas Bernie Sanders gets a question, by the way, looking from David Muir, ABC News, framed exactly like corporate America wants. Why? ABC News is part of corporate America. I mean, they do some great reporting from time to time. They have some really good investigative reporters. But when you get to questions like this in a debate, okay, don't you need corporate America's help to improve the economy? And won't they frown upon you, Bernie Sanders? And he's like, you're goddamn right they will. They're not going to like me because I'm coming for it. And then that's when you go, whoa, what? This guy's for real.
Yeah.
So he gives you a stark contrast and says, no, I don't buy into, I have to bow my head to corporate America. Yes, sometimes they're helpful on jobs, which he mentioned later in a different answer. But overall, they're lowering their own taxes and raising our taxes. They're getting unnatural advantages by bribing Congress. That's got to be the best line of the debate.
Yeah.